Today we'd find our Environment Minister Greg Hunt to talk about this hunting. Can't believe that it's going on. Federal government is going to move to ban Australian hunters bringing their trophies back. Good. Parts of animals they shot, slaughtered. And they're not going to be allowed to bring them. Well, they can at the moment, I think, but they're going to try and stop it. Canberra has issued a ban on all rhino body parts being imported into the country in response to this hideous canned hunting. What kind of sport is that? The Environment Minister, Greg Hunt, has also stated the process has got to move along and he's got to add lions to the list. I mean, what a hell of a thing to do, to want to go and shoot an animal that has absolutely no recourse at all. I mean, if the animal had a gun, good. Or if you didn't have a gun, good. Get in with the lion. Yeah, try that. But you won't. Anyway, this canned hunting is a legal practice. How it ever became legal, I wouldn't know, where animals and lions and rhinos are bred and they're farmed overseas for the sole purpose of being killed in captivity. Can you believe that? I just think it's outrageous. Anyway, we have our minister on the line. Are you there, Mr. Hunt?
Hello?
Yes.
G'day, John, Greg.
Okay, can I call you Greg?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. This is a bad thing, isn't it?
Look, it's a shocking thing, and it's part of the job is you learn all the time. And it was one of our backbenchers, Jason Wood from Victoria, who brought to me the evidence of the practice of canned hunting, basically where, exactly as you describe, animals are farmed, and these are majestic animals such as rhinos and African lions. They are then kept in a small enclosure, and then people pay top dollar from overseas, and they come and they shoot them. There's no sport in this.
There's no sport in that at all.
Nothing humane. It doesn't fit with any precepts of wildlife protection. It doesn't fit with any notion of a fair go. And frankly, once Jason brought it to me, I thought it seemed so outrageous that I thought, surely this is not right. Did the inquiries and thought, well, blow me, he's 100% right. There's a bit of a process, so we've gone through and banned the bringing back into Australia of rhino parts.
What were they bringing? What were they bringing back?
Could be tusks, could be stuffed heads.
Oh.
It could be all manner of feet or very strange sort of so-called trophies.
People have got to be very weird to want to do that.
Well, I've got to say, I think it's sick and I think it's wrong, and we've banned it. And then the next stage is I've started the process to ban the bringing into Australia of African lion parts. And as other species emerge, which might be done in the canned hunting way, same deal. So we will just gather the evidence and then make the bans as they're necessary. There's just an element of decency and fair go here.
Yeah, well, that's what we need. I mean, that should be our mantra, decency. That's what life should be all about. How many Australians go overseas and take part in this canned hunting?
Look, we've had, in terms of the rhinos, the best advice that I can receive is probably a couple of hundred applications over the last decade or so to bring things into the country. Now, some may be going, and we just don't know, shooting the animals and not trying to bring anything back. But we've got we've had a couple of hundred applications to bring back to Australia animal parts, whether it's whole animals, tusks, or other things from hunting programs.
At this point, what animals are banned from being imported back here as trophies? Is there a list of them, or is it all animal? What is it?
There is. So there's a very significant list with a range of big cats that are classified by what's known as the IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, as Appendix 1, meaning highly endangered. And that's big cats. You would have many elephant, just different streams of elephants and other, of what we would look at as the iconic species. By a quirk, some of these animals are on the second list, which means We're worried about them, but they're not internationally banned. Fortunately, as Environment Minister, I have the power to move them from the international List 2 to Australia for our purposes, declaring them as List 1. What does that mean? We can ban the importation. So
why don't we
rhinos are number 1, the lions are number 2.
Why don't we just have a blanket ban on importing all bits of animals as trophies?
Look, we are progressively moving through. There's a large number that are banned, and then as you look at the list, you say, well, why is it that African lions are not banned? Why were some categories of rhinos on the banned list, but the vast number of them not? And so we are moving them across as we can. So I'm just working through it, getting the evidence, and eradicating it as we can. We can't stop the practice in Africa or elsewhere, but we can shine a spotlight on it and say Australia is taking steps, and we want to be a world leader in protecting these great grand species.
Why couldn't the Australian government approach the South African government and say, we would appreciate it if you would not issue licences to Australian hunters? I will be. Oh, well, that's good news.
Yeah, and I've not said that publicly, but I will be. So I think that's important for you to know. This is the first time we've said it, but all credit as well, and this is the best of Parliament, to Jason Wood, who understood and highlighted the problem and provided the evidence, and then we did our due diligence. And people can be cynical about Parliament, but there's a lot of good stuff that happens, and this is an example of a local backbencher who I think had the issue brought to him by the community, and it works its way through the system. And sometimes you look and say, hang on, the parliamentary system of local community to representative to government can produce really good results, and I think this is a good result.
Yeah, well, Greg, I'm not even a backbencher, and I came up with that.
Exactly. Oh, you have de facto status, I think.
Listen, if ever you need an assistant, I'm your man.
All right. The pay's not great, but we'd be happy to have you on deck.
Yeah, well, I know the pay's not great. You fellas don't get paid enough, I don't think.
Oh, no, this wasn't about me. This was about my staff.
Yeah, well, that's even better that you think that way. Listen, just quickly to the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park.
Yes.
Should they be able to send barges in there?
Well, what we're doing here is making sure that anything that is proposed goes before a full federal environmental proposal. I don't have a proposal for this particular barging idea. It's out there. It's not even been put to us. If it does come to us, I'm not afraid to give a red light if something doesn't stack up. And so the proponents of this idea are saying, look, instead of digging and dredging, something which is involving barges would be have much less impact. I don't have a judgment yet because there's literally nothing before me, but my message is very clear. I'm not afraid to give a red light, but if something does stack up, we'd put sort of ruthlessly tough conditions on it.
Yeah, I just think it's terribly risky. I really do. I mean, the thing is one of the wonders of the world. It's like allowing science...
Well, I was there yesterday.
Yeah, well, it's one of the wonders of the world. But to me, it's like putting signs on the pyramids. There are certain things that should remain untouched.
Yeah, see, one of the challenges, I think people are often surprised to discover that the whole of the area is the size of Italy.
Yeah.
And large parts of it are just open water, and you go from cities such as Bundaberg and Gladstone and Rockhampton and Mackay and then to Townsville and Brisbane. And so these are working operational ports and huge communities. So the question is always, how do you minimise impact? And I'm always looking to say, how do we minimise impact? We've said to Gladstone, where they were proposing a new major dredge and the dumping of material inside the marine park, we will not have any of that material coming into the marine park. We want that disposed on land, so they're going to create a new bunded area. Instead of dumping it at sea, they'll use it to create an area of reclaimed land in a muddy, scrubby area. That's the sort of thing that we're trying to do to be creative. The area.
Well, that's certainly a step in the right direction. Just finally, before we go, how are negotiations coming along with the Palmer United Party to repeal the carbon tax?
Look, all the signs are good. I have spoken briefly with Clive Palmer this week. He's wanted to speak twice. His show of good faith, I think, has been pretty clear, and that is he wants the tax repealed, but he wants the same thing that we want, which is to ensure that the full electricity reductions are passed through to consumers. We've already got strong legislation in the Senate to that effect, but we're happy to go further, and so I've spoken with him twice this week, and his office and the Prime Minister's office and my office are also speaking, so I am confident, without being presumptive, that by the end of next week we will have the tax repealed, and that'll flow immediately through to lower electricity and gas prices.
Yeah, well, Greg, if he wants what you want, he'll get it, won't he?
I'm pretty confident.
I would have thought that was axiomatic.
There are no barriers, but I never want to presume on other senators. I think it's important for a government to be as humble as possible.
Okay. Good to talk to you. I hope you have a lovely weekend and keep looking after...
I've got a 5-year-old birthday party tomorrow morning.
Well, lots of luck there. Are you going to blow up the balloons?
I'm doing my bit, but I've got to say my wife is carrying the bulk of the load. It's a big Frozen-themed birthday party.
Greg, you've got to blow up the balloons.
Oh, I'll do the balloon blowing. Have no doubt about that.
It's part of being a father. Have a good weekend. Happy birthday to whoever's birthday it is.
And called James.
And Joan, did you say?
James.
Jane. Okay.
James. Yep.
Have a happy weekend, and thank you for your time. We'll talk again. Is it James, a little boy?
James, boy.
Oh,
yep.
Okay, got it. Happy birthday, James. And
thanks.